Good afternoon, Mr. DeLeo. Today we're here talking about our foreign currency contracts between Mexico and you being a U.S. distributor. We've discussed in my memo what forms of hedging instruments are available and which one is our best option. We also depicted what was the advantages and disadvantages of this foreign currency trade. What we came up with for you, Mr. DeLeo, is that the best possible return for your money would be to sign a foreign currency contract. With a foreign currency contract, what we would do is we would look at the history of the peso for the last 12 months, and then we would lock in an average rate. Looking at the ups and downs of the peso back on my graph that I presented you, we find that the lowest peso is about 1775 and the highest peso range is about 1970. So what we would want to do is hedge in the middle of that and come up to about $18.50 a peso to one American dollar. When we do that, with $1 million purchase, what will actually happen, Mr. DeLeo, is that we would save in the U.S. denomination, it would save you approximately $77,000 per $1 million purchase. And by using the forward currency contract, what would happen is that it would eliminate the ups and downs and you would actually have a more stable financial statement and business plan. So you wouldn't have to worry so much about the gains and losses of your plan by the unknown currency. The different types of currencies that we looked at were loan denomination foreign currencies, and this is where you take out a loan to hedge the difference. However, that is costly. There's the cost of doing the loan as well as the interest that the loan would actually cost you. Another future contract, which is a similar concept to a forward contract. The only difference is a future contract is traded on the exchange. So again, we're talking a costly fee there. The currency option would actually give you the right, but not an obligation, to buy or sell at a specific price at a specific date. And then you have your cylinder options. And the cylinder option is where you actually combine two different options. One at a higher rate, one at a lower rate. And depending on where the peso comes in, that's what you buy at, the higher or lower rate. And that way it averages out. But looking at the forward contract, basically it's an agreement to buy a certain amount of foreign currency at a specific price in a future date at a predetermined exchange rate. By entering into the future contract, the company can ensure that a definite future liability can be settled at a specific exchange rate. And the good thing about that is we can lock in these rates from 6 months up to 3 years. So, the advantages of the foreign exchange rate or the forward contract exchange rate is that it does lock in your rate for a specific period. To set up a contract, it's a very simple task and it's inexpensive to maintain. It can also, the currency can be drawn down early and it can roll over the funds if they're not needed right away. And the basic disadvantages of a forward currency contract are very minimal. The first one is that if the currency moves in a favorable condition, that you still wouldn't get that. Okay? But when we were looking at the rates of the Mexican peso, the peso doesn't fluctuate extremely bad. It just had a couple of times where they were higher and lower. So basically, we felt like that was not as much of a disadvantage as it could be. And the only other disadvantage is that it takes a small deposit, which ties up your working capital. However, that does stay in effect and can be used towards your liability. So basically, the foreign currency option we've decided is the best choice for DeLeo Foods. Thank you, Mr. DeLeo, for taking time with me.